Is everybody recording?
Yes.
Is everybody
yes.
recording?
Yes.
Excellent. See, now that's going to be the beginning of the podcast because it sounds like kind of like, okay, guys, in 5, 4, 3, 2, I know you see somehow the anyway.
I was hoping for the Nintendo Switch snap. I think that's how you should start.
That iCarly theme, dude.
It's only gonna get on my audio. You're not gonna hear the Switch snap. This is horrible.
No, and don't play that. It's copywritten.
The snap.
The Switch snap that's copywritten.
Yeah,
You know,
Switch snap.
Anytime somebody slaps a guy in a suit, walks up, touches them on the shoulder, is like, "Hey, man, here's a cease
yeah,
and
dude.
desist."
Miyamoto wants a quarter every time a snap sound happens.
At this point, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they
That's
just
what I'm saying.
found any reason to be like, I want just a few dollars for that.
More money, $10 for a tutorial on how to use the console. More money.
My
Get into that
teacher
right
always
now.
said, anytime somebody
Yeah.
snaps, somebody gets a cease and desist.
Right. So this is perfect. This is a perfect segue and introduction to the first topic on our list. Guys, so me and Brian,
do you want to do an
we
intro?
did our...
We didn't even like...
No
No intro.
No. All right, fine. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Deserted Gamer Podcast, everybody. Today we have our special guest friend here, Devin. We've known him for a while. He's just a homeless guy who we talk to every now and then. So he's here today, but you've got your regular co-hosts, Andrew and Brian, as usual. But we're going to get into why the Switch 2 launch stuff has been really grinding our gears, if you will, a la Peter Griffin. Yeah. So anyway, you know what really grinds my gears? The fact that you have to pay $10 for a Switch 2 tutorial. I can't do a Boston accent.
You're lucky I'm being respectful and not instantly just stopping you the second the homeless thing got brought up. I could have brought my Xbox 360 tube mic and I could have started talking through that. Really missed opportunity. Really missed opportunity.
It would have been.
That'll be
been so great if you're recording like Eddie. Anytime you're not talking, just a little like sound throughout the whole thing,
like a little car going by.
Yeah, no, just make it sound like an MW2 lobby the entire podcast. But anyway,
but go on.
So the first segment is going to be we're going to talk about the Switch 2, and look, me and Brian, we did an episode, I guess it was 1 or 2 ago, probably 2 ago.
Yeah, it was 2 ago.
And we talked about the Switch 2 and what we were excited for it, and yeah, and we were pretty excited, and we were both like, yeah, so like day one purchase, right? Like let's do it. Like let's like get really into this and go for it. And then man, that direct on the second, I guess, it was 10 days ago. Not to date this episode, but the direct on the second was just like kind of a big slap in the face. It was like, wow, I am not buying this like within the next even 2 years probably.
Well, I think a quick correction. I think the direct was actually pretty good. It was everything that came out after the direct.
Right,
yep.
right. Whenever they announced the price, I didn't watch everything.
They did not announce any sort of price, and I remember after that direct end, I was like, "Huh, that's a little weird." They didn't like show off like even PlayStation did that. Like Sony did that when they kind of revealed the PlayStation 5. And I remember that at the end of that direct, I was like, "It's a little weird they didn't notice the price." And it's like everything I read after watching that direct just made it worse and worse. I was like, all right, price, a little pricey for a Switch, but it's kind of standard for a console. $80 for Mario Kart?
Digital. $80 for
no, it's
digital.
$80. Is that $80 physical, 70 digital.
Really?
Yeah,
okay, so that
90 figure
confirmed.
was I think it was like a bad conversion from the euro.
Yeah.
Or something.
That would make sense because Europe gets screwed even more than we do.
It's Canada, Europe, Australia. Their numbers are
apparently it's
like
700 in Canada.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess my reaction to the direct pretty similar to Brian, where I really liked the console itself. I honestly thought, and even seeing the $450 price point, I know a lot of people kind of complain, but the things they changed about the console, in my mind, it made sense to be around that price. Like, I did expect it to be like $400 or so when they started talking about the fact that they're like adding this additional feature to the Joy-Cons where it's like a mouse. And
that it's like 120 FPS. Like, it's actually got a little bit of power. And I think we're just not used to that with Nintendo because we're used to Nintendo hardware always being so far behind.
Yeah, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to, at least in some degree, cater a little bit to people like me who play like RTSs and things like that. Like they do, I think, legitimately want to try to make that dumb little mouse feature usable. And I don't know. I find that a little admirable. That's about it. That's the only nice thing I have to say about the entire console. We can now go into literally everything else that convinced me to go and buy a PlayStation 5 2 days after instead. So.
Well, and you guys know, me and Devin both kind of had a pretty similar reaction where we went and bought other older consoles, like the day after they revealed all the price points and everything. The PS5 is a great move. My move was much more of a meme. I did buy on eBay, I did snag a Wii U to announce it to the world.
Applaud this man.
Yeah. I snagged a Wii U. It's been something that I've been, Brian, our first 3 episodes were all just about the Wii U.
It was about me buying a Wii U in 2024.
Yep. I've just been teetering on it for a year, legitimately. And then I just made the Wind Waker video and talked all about the Wii U in that one. And I was like, you know what? Now that I know I don't need to save up for a Switch 2 because it's not going to be in the cards this year, let's just fucking pull this trigger.
It's what I do with the PS5. And the fact that my PS4 is gone, I was like, well, I really want to play Bloodborne and Sekiro again, so how do I do that? I guess I get a PS5.
What
was it that made you... Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, speaking of that, real quick,
what made you pull the trigger?
Devin, how are we feeling about that legally distinct Bloodborne 2?
I'm mixed about it. And when it was getting announced and I didn't see any of the price stuff, I was like, that's pretty neat that they're doing that, because I really thought they were going to be locked down to Sony. I did not think that they were going to make something that wasn't just for a Sony console. When they did Sekiro and they've done Bloodborne, and the first one, which is Demon's Souls, they did on the PS3. So it was pretty surprising. I have no idea how Nintendo swung that. I don't know if one of the execs at Sony just really pissed off the FromSoft developers with Sekiro or something. But it looks good. I'm always excited for those games, but now I just am not going to think about it so much because there's no way I'm going to get it anytime soon.
Yeah, here's my thing. So I saw it and I was like, oh, this kind of looks like Bloodborne. And then I was like, oh, is this actually Bloodborne 2? And then they were like, oh, it's actually Duskbloods. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay. They're trying to, it's most likely Bloodborne 2. But then I learned after the fact, again, in the Direct, excited for it. After the Direct, I was like, it's apparently going to be like Night Rain and not an actual FromSoft game.
Oh,
so it's going to be the multiplayer kind of focused, apparently.
There was a game on the PS4 called Let It Die that was a free PlayStation Plus game for a short period of time. And that was kind of like that. I think that one, the style of the game worked because it was kind of you're in a dilapidated city and you're a bunch of convicts. And it's every man for himself. It works to be that way. It works to be a multiplayer game. FromSoft stories, or lore, however you want to describe the way they do storytelling, does not fit that very well. I mean, maybe they could pull a rabbit out of their hat. I don't know, but it seems kind of meh. But I didn't know that it was going to be that way. Now hearing that, I'm like, now I'm less interested in it.
Yeah, it's apparent. It's allegedly. And so I don't they haven't really talked more about it yet, but I mean, we've talked about it, Devin, and I've been very public about it that I don't like Elden Ring. So Night Rain was Night Rain was one of that. I don't think it's out yet. I think it just has a demo or something, right? I was like, it's definitely not for me because I'm not even a big roguelike kind of guy, and I don't like Elden Ring enough. And then, all this stuff with the Switch 2, and then also the fact that the spiritual successor, seemingly to what I consider to be the best FromSoft game, being another kind of multiplayer game like Night Rain, kind of kicking the pants a little bit to me. But
yeah,
there's something to be said about a developer wanting to do something different.
Yeah,
I think we could leave it at that. But I think that's. I don't think they want to make traditional Dark Souls games anymore because they made, about 5 of them.
Yeah.
So.
And that's fair.
Yeah, for sure. So Devin, and then Brian, I'll ask you a similar question, just because we haven't really poked your brain too much on the price thing, but I just wanted to get back to this and kind of wrap this topic up. Devin, you mentioned that like the console price didn't really piss you off too much. So was it when you saw that the games were $80 where you were like, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to go buy a PS5 right now?
Yeah, I think it was that, and in conjunction with Nintendo saying that they were going to price games as they saw fit. You know, they were going to say that some games weren't worth as much. Like, I think the Donkey Kong Country game, I know it's not Donkey Kong Country, it's the new 3D Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, that it's going to cost $7,000 according to Donkey.
yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. But, you know, it's the idea that they're going to start picking and choosing which games are going to be priced at 80 and 70, and, you know, it's that it's going to be flexible. I don't think they're going to stay at 70 and 80. I think that if Grand Theft Auto
they're going to push it to 100.
I think if Grand Theft Auto comes out, crushes everybody with how much it costs, and it's people still buy it. I mean, like, Sony's not dumb. They're an entertainment business, right? They're going to look at that and say, we can do that with the new 3D Mario game or the new Zelda. And, you know, you can say what you want about, well, maybe that game is worth more because it takes so much longer to develop. But, you know, just because of a game is long doesn't mean it's better. You know, like, I go back and play so many games that are like 4 hours long that are a million times better than, you know, like the 40-hour like Spider-Man game, which I know, I crucify me for that one. I do like that game, but I think it's a good example to say that, you know, the length of a game isn't what defines a game being good, or how much effort it takes to make the game. In an ideal world, that's how it would work, but there's so many indie games I play that were like first made at like a game jam and then became a full game.
Yeah.
It took them a day to make the base game, and it was fun, you know, so I don't think that pricing based on like how much effort the company put into it really appeals to me at all, especially not in like an artistic endeavor. Yeah. So
yeah,
I
mean, it's kind of wild,
there's also
right?
The thing of like, I think most. I mean, again, I'm not in the industry or anything, like, but I assume that most developers are salaried employees, so it's not like they're getting royalties from.
It's not commission based. No. No. So, I just, you know, on the whole thing with like effort and stuff, it's funny when you talk about like length of games too. It's you guys know I'm a big NES guy and stuff, and like, you know, the speed run for Ninja Gaiden is like an 11-minute speed run, you know, like, but Ninja Gaiden 1 is like an awesome game, and Zelda 1 is you know, very beatable in just a few hours and stuff. And you know, length is totally not, you know, like a qualifier of like, oh, this game's better because it's longer, but we're definitely fed that in the modern era. But my my question then for Brian is kind of like, was there a moment where they jumped the shark during all this? Was it the price of the games, price of the console? Like, what do you think? You know, and are you gonna buy anything? Because me and Devin already like went and said like, fuck it, let's go buy some other stuff. Like, are you gonna have that?
So they have to do something like, if they release like a new mainline Zelda game or something, it's only Switch 2, then I would be like, fuck, I gotta get it.
Right.
It's more so.
But like, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be on the Switch 1 as well, right?
Yeah, most things are going to be on the Switch. Which, by the way, horrible PR from Doug Bowser. Again, this is just me basing it on shit I've seen on Twitter, so it might not be good truth reporting or whatever, but I saw him basically saying like some of the lines of like, if you don't want, if you can't afford a Switch 2, just play Switch 1 or something like that. And it's like,
oh my god, oh no, that's like a Tim Cook. So apparently, when like Apple released their stupid like headset thing that you're supposed to walk around with, and it's $3,000, like, you know, and I watched you know, one of those like big like YouTubers who has like millions of subscribers and talks about like tech and crap or whatever. I watched him like use the Apple Glass, and he kept listing like very odd used cars that were like very old, odd, like Mitsubishis, and that they are $3,000. He's like, you could buy a Mitsubishi, a 2003 Mitsubishi XLS for $3,000, or this stupid headset. And it's so funny. And Tim Cook apparently was like, I think they're affordable. And you can tell these CEOs just have no perception of reality, zero perception of reality for sure. The other thing I was going to say too, with like price of like the flexible pricing of games, if I recall, granted we weren't really around for this era. We kind of grew up in an era where everything was printed on a disc. It was all standard $50-$60, whatever. You'd have your budget games like Katamari and stuff every now and then, but back in like the Super Nintendo days, especially because things like some of the chips and stuff for like the the enhanced graphics of like Mega Man X2 and X3, some of those chips were really hard to find, and long games like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI were more expensive than something like Nigel Mansell's Racing or whatever the fuck,
But that was
and they did do that. But that's like cartridges and chips, and it's like non-standard stuff.
That stopped being a thing after discs started to be kind of the norm. It was
right,
like, if you look
and
at
the
the pricing,
Switch
it's like
2 games,
PS1 games like $40, like around the board, pretty much, because it was like
Switch 2 games are still on cards, like they're all standard though. It's not like they need the Super FX chip in the Star Fox cartridge.
And that's another point. But like, first off, that Doug Bowser thing, that's allegedly. Again, I haven't really looked into it, so don't quote me on that. And then the other thing,
his name is Bowser.
His name is Bowser.
His name is Bowser. He's literally a villain. He's literally a villain of a villain. And we all pretend he's not. Remember when he took away Reggie from us? Like, come on.
Right. I was gonna say, like, this is Reggie's replacement, and Reggie was apparently subtweeting. Did y'all see this?
No, I did hear a little bit about it. Drama moment. Drama alert.
Reggie was doing some drama because I was reading some stuff. Again, who knows how true it is? Because Brian, I same disclaimer. You never know what you read on the internet.
Yeah.
But apparently, as history says, Reggie was very adamant about Wii Sports being a free pack-in. And I think also Nintendo Land for the Wii U. And he was very adamant about it. And Wii Sports was a pack-in in all regions except Japan. And that's why in Japan it had a real case, and in America it had a slip case. But so, and Reggie was someone who, fought for extra little goodies like that.
Yeah.
And now that he's gone, you can see that's not apparent anymore, and we have to pay $10 for a tutorial.
Yeah. Reggie and Iwata were just like great. Like
Iwata was such a good example.
Yeah.
Because he, took a big pay cut during the poor times of the Wii U.
Yeah.
And instead of firing people, he took a pay cut, which is like
an incredible classy
good Lord.
Move.
The man of class.
The back to the point of like the pricing thing, for me, like when I decided if it comes out like there's going to be like a huge like if there's like a mainline Zelda game that's like only released for the Switch 2, then I'll get it or something like that. For the most part, I'll just be playing on my Switch 1. I'll still like if because I'm a Trails shill, so I'll do basically what I sometimes do, which is like I'll get a game that I can't play and I'll just buy it to have the game. So like for Trails, I like to collect all the versions, like all the physical versions.
And
so
some
if they do
region
that,
locked.
Yeah, if they do that, then I'll like if they release, because Falcom's apparently having a tighter relationship with Nintendo. So if they release things for like the Switch,
they're
and
going to
Switch
charge
2,
$90 for their game.
Yeah, if they release them, well, for Falcom, Falcom typically like they're pretty. I mean, there's a case to be made about their fucking DLC practices, which that's a whole nother story. But like the games themselves are typically not that expensive. Like I don't think they ever reach $60 even. You're right. I do remember that actually. But yeah, so I'll still like I won't even have the console. I'll like quadruple dip and like get the fucking Switch 2 one as well. But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, the price point was a bit of a like for the games. I mean, was a bit of like especially the Mario Kart one. But like $70, I was like, all right, that's like expected. Sony did that. Whatever. It was really the digital costing $10 more. Or physical costing $10 more.
Costing.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Physical costing $10 more.
That's the biggest, like, let me pull your pants down and just kick you in the nuts.
Yeah, that one, and then the game card thing, which...
total BS. Go into it.
So, the game card thing, I think it's better than what they did, which is just you get the box and then it's just a little piece of paper in there that has the code.
A piece of paper with a spot for a cartridge.
Yeah,
that
no,
is
it's
there.
it's a piece of paper with the code on it. It's better than that.
Yep.
And I fully agree with that.
Right.
And I do like how Nintendo is kind of being like if a company was just going to do digital only, essentially, it gives them this option to where now you can like, because like say if we lived near each other, say I had a Switch 2, we both had Switch 2s, and I was like, hey man, I just got the Bravely Default remaster or something. Do you want to try it out? And then you were like, yeah, sure, I could hand you that, even though it's technically a digital only game, and you don't have to like, it's not like a one-off thing. It's not tied to my system. So you could play it too. Like, it's a thing that you can resell, that you can trade. I like that aspect of it. With that said, one, I hate the push away from physical. We talked about this. But two, why the fuck is Bravely Default one of the ones on the game card? Cyberpunk, Street Fighter 6, all right, fine, whatever. Cyberpunk, the entirety of Cyberpunk 2077 is on a cartridge. Not a digital download, not a little game key card, on the cartridge. Bravely Default, a 3DS
game,
that's like 10 gigabytes is on
and 10 years old. 10 gigabytes and 10 years old. Like, what the hell?
That was the big kicker for me. I was like, oh my god, Bravely Default, so cool. I mean, I got the 3DS version, but hell yeah, I love it. This, we talked about this once for the Switch too, where I was like, I just want more remasters of JRPGs and stuff. Bring some stuff over that isn't on modern consoles. A remaster of a classic 3DS game, great example of that.
Yep.
Also shows that they can bring over like DS games, which is like a
Tales of the Abyss,
big point of contention. Yeah, like Tales of the Abyss, but like even just like DS games too, like like because there was that whole thing of like, well, they can't bring it over because of the dual screens and stuff. Whatever. Like obviously some games are going to be harder to do that for than others, but still, great thing. Then I looked at it and I was like, you first off got this ugly ass game key card like white strip at the bottom of the fucking case.
Yeah.
Now that ticked me off.
Yeah.
And I also think this is a complete minor nitpick. The cases look ugly.
Oh, dude, they're
got
awful.
That big ass red forehead.
They do, man. They got a 5 head. The Switch 1 cases were already terrible because, I look at my game.
Yeah.
They're awful. I look at my GameCube shelf and I'm like, yeah, look at that. Like Zelda's all gold. Mario Sunshine's got the white and blue going. They kind of have like a lot of them like kind of have the same font, but they've all kind of got some different colors going on. I have like a bunch of the license, like the movie license games have like the, like the Penguins of Madagascar are on the spine. There's all this fun artwork, right? Even the Wii.
Dot Hack, you can line them up and they make an image.
Dot Hack, you line them up, you make an image. I used to own them, of course. And then the Switch, it's like red.
Yeah. Oh,
just red.
You know what pisses me off more about that is the if you have a European in the EU, the text is center aligned on the spine. Where in like North America, it's aligned to the top of the spine. So if you have an EU copy next to like on a shelf next to all these North American copies, it stands out.
Well, and the Japanese games have the ratings on the side. So I have one import 360 game, and it stands out like such a sore thumb because it has a big A on the bottom of it. And I'm like, great.
Is that Deadly Premonitions?
No. DP is English, dude. It's the Virtual On game, the mech fighter that we played.
Oh, okay. See, because when that's like a game is rated A, I'm thinking like the adult rating.
No, sorry, A, Japanese A, zero A.
Yeah, that's like E or E10.
It's their basic rating.
I think
AO is Z.
I think B is
Z.
T. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have the Trails in the Sky because on the PS3 they never released the PS3 versions, like the remaster versions in outside of Japan. So I have those versions on the PS3, and they got like the color, the big ass block of color, and the letter, the Sero.
And it's like,
I think it's called.
Yeah, exact Sero. Yeah, and then Europe has the PEGI ratings. Always look so ugly to me. I feel like they look fake. The European ones.
I do love how you flip it over and it has like the images for what's on there. Like,
did you know?
Like fear or like and it's like the spider.
Yeah, I have a great story actually. So in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which is where like Dolly Parton is from and stuff, right? Like Dolly World. They have there's like a crime museum. It's a really cool museum, right? However, there was one thing that I was sincerely about to be like, let me talk to somebody, because this is so bad that this is in here. They had a section on bootlegs, and they showed bootleg video games, and there was 2 copies of Animal Crossing on the DS. One of them was a standard American copy, and it was like, this one is real. And then the other one was a European copy, and it had the European PEGI logo on it, and it said, this one is a bootleg. No, no, it was a legit European copy. But they're like, oh, that's
was it just a bootleg European copy?
No, it was real. It was real, but somebody thinks it's fake, and because it has the PEGI rating on it, because they look fake.
I got 2 things to add to that. The guy who says Peggy 18.
Yes.
I'd love to meet that
Peggy
man.
12.
Yeah, like, that guy's got to be awesome.
Yeah.
And 2, just to go back to the Switch game stuff, I think with a lot of discs and things like that, I am much more function over form compared to you guys. Like, you guys are very much like, I don't like on the GameCube, there's player select. I don't care about it.
Oh, I can't hang with the yellow. I can't hang.
Right.
Yeah.
But Switch games in particular, my problem is that it's not easy to look at the box and know what the game is. You know, like
that
a
is
lot
an
of
issue.
other consoles, the text is the right size. And for some reason Nintendo said, what if it was just 2 sizes smaller?
Yeah.
And
it's just enough. It's just enough where you're like, I need to get closer than I should be to see like what the fuck game I'm trying to pick up. But yeah, I completely agree with that. I kind of like, some weird part of me does like the uniformity of it, but yeah, no, it's much better. Again, PS3 era and stuff, and I am also a little bit of a weird kind of person where like I don't really mind like greatest hits kind of stuff for especially for PlayStation, because I do like the red.
The red pisses me off. Yeah,
Black Label versions are way better, obviously. But sometimes, it's cheaper to get the greatest hits version, so
usually
that's what I do. Like for Xenogears, the PS1 greatest hits ugly as shit though. The green
is it's vile, right?
Yeah, but still, I mean, like if I'm spending $120 for Xenogears versus like $300 for the Black Label version, which one do you think I'm gonna pick?
It got to a point with game collecting where you can't be as picky anymore, whereas 10 years ago I used to be able to be very picky about it. The one that I don't mind is actually the platinum hits on the 360. I think that the silver blends in with the green well enough to where I'm not like ew, whereas on the GameCube that yellow is just putrid.
Oh yeah, no, that one sucks. I like the greatest hits versions for the PS3 and PS4, and I guess PS5 might do it when they get to it.
PS4 has greatest hits.
Yeah, PS3 and PS4 have the greatest hits, and it's like the PS2 one. It's again cheaper, and like I got a bunch of the PS2 games on my shelf, like a lot of the Final Fantasies, a lot of the Kingdom Hearts ones that I didn't have. They are greatest hits versions because they did like a while back they did the like reprints for them, so I got them like $20 sealed, and I was like,
right,
hell yeah. Like sure, I'll like when I get to a point I'll probably like try to find the Black Label versions as well, but like at the time $20 sealed, why wouldn't I take that? But yeah, I'm not a big fan of like I like it in the PS3 and PS4 versions because the case is red. Like it makes them more. I don't know. I like it.
That Sonic game that you gave me, Devin, was the Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sonic 06 Platinum Hits, and the case is silver. Yep. Whereas other Platinum Hits games I have aren't like that, but the Sonic game has the gray case, and it's pretty cool.
I know we're a bit off the beaten path, but you did mention it. Do you want to?
Oh,
you want to talk about
Sonic,
certain Blue Blur for a second?
All right, so
want to completely derail the conversation and just go into that.
Well, let's do it. So, all right, here's something that I thought of, and I think we mentioned this, Devin, when we were conversing on the phone yesterday about the greatest console ever made, the Wii U. with my purchase of a Wii U, it does in fact open up the opportunity for me to purchase Sonic Boom: The Rise of Lyric, everyone's favorite fucking game on Earth. So,
that
Devin,
game
why
has
don't
a subtitle?
What, Sonic?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a 3DS one that has a different subtitle. Come on, Brian.
It's also a TV show. So it's like a whole version of Sonic. And
come on, Brian.
So they have like those two games. We can get into it. As somebody, and this is going to come out. As somebody who despises Sonic games,
you should know a lot about them.
I know so much about them.
I'm gonna eat some pepperoni while you talk.
I don't know if it's because Chris Chan exists as a person, and that just really makes it way more fascinating every time you talk about Sonic, or if it's just the fact that, in my opinion, Sonic characters are incredibly well designed. You look at all the characters and they're very distinct. You can tell what their personalities are. And I think Sega does a really, really good job of keeping that consistent. I think for kids, you go I do want to kind of be Sonic's best friend. Sonic is actually kind of cool. Even when he's eating chili dogs and having an attitude. They do such a good job of that. And then they have this amazing ability as the Sonic team to not make a single good game. It's incredible how they do it. I actually don't know how you could put that much effort in and always come up with a piss-poor game every single time.
Talk about the games that you don't like more specifically and why you don't like them. Let's get people mad.
Do we want to talk about the games I like more first?
However you best see fit.
Let's go. Okay, game by game.
You can't go game by game. I have unfortunately played pretty much all of them, and I don't know why. I don't like these games, and I have still played pretty much every single Sonic game that's come out.
Have you played Sonic Drift on the Game Gear?
What about
the
bootleg Sonic Adventure 7?
Whoa, what's that?
Sonic Adventures 3 through 6.
Maybe I'd like that one. That one actually sounds kind of fun. I have found that the best Sonic games are the ones not made by Sonic Team. So
yeah. How about the tennis game?
The tennis game's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Mario Sonic and the Olympic Games.
No, the Sega Superstars Tennis. Well, Mario Sonic is good. But yeah.
The best Sonic game is the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a meme game that you can find on
Steam. Yeah, I know. Fantastic. Game Grumps, whatever.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. And you know why that one's good? Because it's just about the characters. It's not even really a game.
It's a novel, right? It's a visual novel?
It's just a visual novel that's like an hour long. And that game's good because it's an hour long visual novel. It has mini Sonic levels in there too, which I think is decent.
Right. All right.
The other ones I like are. Oh, do you want to add something?
No, I was just gonna say. All right, let's get into why you don't like them. I mean, you like them, whatever. But let's hear why you don't. I want to hear the bad stuff.
Sure. We can
Devin,
do that.
Real quick, Devin, you started talking about Sonic and it summoned my fucking antivirus protection.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because it knows this is a disaster of a conversation. It knows that this isn't going to go anywhere.
This is malware.
So for starters, the whole point of Sonic is that he's fast. And in most of the 2D platformer games, you spend most of the time going slow. You spend pretty much most of the game going slow. And I know people say, if you get really, really good at it, you'll go pretty fast through the levels and you're meant to replay them. That's great and all, but it takes a lot of hours to get to that point.
Devin, I know Marble Zone hurt you. I know Marble Zone hurt you as a child, but I promise you Sonic 2 and Sonic CD have a little bit better design than Sonic 1 going from Green Hill Zone to Marble Zone, because I know that's what you're thinking of, but I will say that you can go a good bit faster in the sequels consistently. But Marble Zone is atrocious. I will give you that.
So, I've played 2 and I've played Knuckles. I have played those games. It's still just dude, I just want Sonic to be really fast. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't do what I want it to do. And
didn't people complain about Sonic Unleashed being too fast or something like that?
Oh my god! Yeah, and people can. This fan base can never be happy. That's the other thing,
No, and to be honest, I think that those aspects of Sonic Unleashed are what make that one better than some of the other ones. Is the fact that it is fast. So there's that in what's the other one called? Sonic Generations. That one, there's actually levels where you do legitimately go fast.
A lot of people like that game.
3D ones. Yeah, and I think that I'm like, why couldn't you have just done this with the other ones? Because it is legitimately faster. Even the 2D parts of it, you do get to keep a decent amount of Sonic's momentum. And for some reason, whether it be, they were newer at making games during, Sega Genesis and Saturn and all the things after it. It's like, cool. I don't live in 1994 anymore. I don't have to play that, so I'm not going to.
Anymore.
Anymore, you never did, motherfucker.
But I think that those are like the Sonic games people like. Now we can talk about the ones that nobody likes. Like you have like Sonic
and the Black Knight.
Heroes and the Black Knight.
I
played
Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, a lot of people like Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes! Sonic Heroes!
Knew one of you was going to sing the song as soon as it was mentioned. It was a toss-up between who was going to do it.
Dude, because...
Instead of us... Sorry.
There is this mix. It's a brilliant mix. It's like 6 hours long. This dude just put this stuff together of just like every phenomenal GameCube song ever. Right, and it starts with Wind Waker title theme, and it just starts going, and he paces it out where he does a bunch of title themes at first, and then you kind of go on this journey. Well, about 40 minutes in, Sonic Heroes, and I'm always like,
what's that? What's the casino level from Sonic Heroes?
That one's fun. That's the only fun level in the whole game.
And it has the music for that. It sounds like somebody's like stepping on a cat's tail.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that music's kind of wild in that level.
I'll take Casino Night Zone over that, TBH.
Yeah.
That's a great theme.
Where I was going to go with that, but I know what I want to say. Can we talk about Crush 40? So there's another great aspect of Sonic.
I love them. Yeah. It's butt rock. Yeah,
it's the things around the Sonic games that I find so appealing. But the actual games themselves, I'm like, why did you make them?
Can't hold on much longer. Sorry, guys.
From the perspective of somebody who has, even though I often cite at least the first Sonic the Hedgehog as one of my first games that I played. So I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I have only ever beaten Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So this whole conversation, I can't
Never beat Sonic 2?
I played a little bit of Heroes. I played a little bit of Sonic 1 and 2, and then I just never got far in them. And then the only ones I beat are Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So as someone on that front, on that end of it, Crush 40. I love the music in those games.
It's amazing.
Open Your Heart from Sonic Adventure 1.
It's amazing.
City Escape, Sonic Adventure 2, and then Live and Learn, obviously. But I will say, I've mentioned it before to Andrew on the pod. The hub areas from Sonic Adventure 1, great.
Yeah, how about this?
And Andrew did that for 5 minutes. Yeah.
we just make Chao Garden its own video game, and then Sonic Adventure.
I know.
Yeah,
everybody wants that.
Yeah, it's the hub areas from Sonic Adventure 1 are so nostalgic for me for some fucking reason, even though I didn't really grow up playing them.
Yeah.
It's I played them late high school. So
right.
But anyway, it's Sonic is always that weird thing where I'm I know enough about it to where I know the characters, if you were to add for most of the characters, I would say, except for the newer ones, because I don't know shit about them. But I also don't know enough where I'll hear people talk about some things about Sonic, and I'm just what?
You guys, I'll tell you. I'm gonna give you a little confession. So there are 2 Sonic collections.
We know you have a crush on. You know you have a crush on Knuckles.
All right. Anyway, there are 2 Sonic collections on the GameCube. One of them that has the normal Sonic games, which is called Sonic Mega Collection, and then the other that has the weird Sonic games called Sonic Gems Collection. For some reason, when I was a child, Sonic Gems Collection was the only one that I had of the 2. And I think it was because it was coming out some year for Christmas, and for whatever reason I missed out on Mega Collection, and my dad bought me Gems Collection for Christmas. and it has like Sonic CD, which is the premier game on it for sure, and then weird crap like Sonic the Fighters, which is an arcade game, Sonic R, and a bunch of Game Gear games. When I was a little kid, I beat Sonic R, which is honestly an accomplishment because the controls are such dog shit that I have no idea how I did it, but I unlocked Super Sonic, which I think is like, that's considered beating it because you have to get Chaos Emeralds, get enough rings to get the Chaos Emeralds, and win the races. And I can't do it at all now. And I'm like, how did I do this when I was a kid? But I did. So I beat Sonic R. And you want to talk about some banging music. Woo boy!
I would just like to, real quick, I would just like to point out, our last episode, I asked, doesn't it have that weird Sonic racing game? And you got highly upset at me for calling Sonic R the weird Sonic racing game. And then you just said that game's controls are ass. It's a weird Sonic game.
Well, look, all right.
What?
It has, look, it's a childhood game, so fuck you, but... It is the weird Sonic racing game, but... Or are we talking... Here's the thing, Brian. Sometimes I feel like when we talk, we confuse Sonic R and Sonic Riders.
I have never once mentioned Sonic Riders. I asked you... entire life.
I asked you...
Also not a good game.
Devin, shut up. First of all, you're just bad at it. That is one that you are just bad at.
Not true.
That game is phenomenal. That game is phenomenal. Its controls are so good. It's so complex.
Nope.
Nope. Just shut up. Anyway.
Wrong.
From the call.
That game's soundtrack is unreal. That game's soundtrack is unreal. Devin, no, Brian. It's one time I asked you. I was like. I just texted you out of the blue, and I was like, I think a goal of mine this year is to get really good at Sonic Riders. And you were like, you responded like, I don't know much about that game, but I know JonTron doesn't like the music. Didn't JonTron criticize the music for Sonic R, not Sonic Riders? I forget.
I don't know.
We had that conversation, and I was like...
I didn't even know Sonic Riders was a thing.
Yeah, see, anyways, Brian, look, Sonic R, weird racing game, whatever I may have said about it in the past, but a childhood game. And Devin, Sonic Riders is good, shut the fuck up. But anyway.
Was the point of this for you to say that we sometimes get them confused when you knew for damn sure that I meant Sonic R when I was talking about the weird Sonic racing game?
No, because Sonic Riders is also weird. Because Sonic Riders is also weird.
Yeah, but we were talking about the console it was on.
Oh, we were talking about the Saturn? Was that when we did the rankings? Did we talk about the Saturn?
Yeah, we did the rankings.
Okay, well then it's for sure Sonic R. My bad.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good. Don't make fun of Sonic R. Only I can do that. I beat it.
That's the rule now. You can't make fun of a game unless you've beaten it. That's true.
Right.
That's something that all gamers online know.
Yeah.
Please, everybody in every YouTube comment section fucking holds themselves to that. And if you've beaten it, it's still not good enough because you don't hold the speedrun world record on it.
Yeah. I'm about to be. By the way, Andrew, I'm about to be your biggest hater. I was about to be your biggest hater on YouTube comment section after your Wind Waker video when you mentioned that you didn't pay attention to the fucking intro cutscene.
Dude, when I was a child, I did not.
And you just said in your video, you were like, you can just grab a cup of coffee while it plays.
No. I said I would go and do some dishes. I said I drink coffee while sailing.
Okay.
Dude, I don't care. I get it. Ocarina of Time, blah, blah, blah. Hero of Time.
Dude, the music in that intro fucking cutscene, the music in that intro cutscene,
it's great. Hits. But I've watched it 700 times. You just do something else.
You're not ready to go on an adventure. You're not ready to sink in and go on a real adventure.
Did you even
go on the Wink Waker quest? Did you
the Wink Wanker? You're a fucking Wink Wanker. You're a fucking Wink Wanker.
Yeah, did you like actually feel like you were on the boat? Did you talk to all the other pirates? Did you go and do the bidding wars on Windfall Island? I don't think so.
No, because there's no swift sail, so you don't have to.
Did you? Oh, there's a heart piece.
I don't care. I did a minimal run. That was the whole point.
Well,
there's like so many fun things to do that have nothing to do with the actual main game.
Yeah, I know.
It's an adventure. It's an adventure.
the main game is also a very fun adventure, and I had to play it to make a video, which still took me 3 weeks.
This man didn't even do the Savage Labyrinth. Can you believe this?
Yeah, for real.
Yes, I did, you moron. You have to.
No, you don't. You don't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, not 10. It's more than 10. It's like 30.
Yeah.
First 10 holes, interesting.
Anyway, yeah, write that down. But anyway, no, I did the beginning of it, Brian, and I got the Triforce chart or whatever, and then I started to go through the rest of it, and then like I just hit start and hit save and then hit quit, and then I got back out. I was like, I'm not doing this whole thing.
What's it in the GameCube? Is it just the heart piece?
I think, and that's my point was to deliberately not collect heart pieces in that run. So,
did you become a sword master? Did you fight that guy on Windfall Island? Get like 7,000 hits or whatever you need for that?
I did, actually. That was one of the very few side quests I did where I hit the dude like 250 times, and then I was like, I am done.
This man didn't even get the hurricane spin before Jaw.
I did.
Can you believe this?
Oh well, not before.
Yeah, you said that in the video. You were like, I didn't get it beforehand.
Still, you fight him twice, so whatever.
Fake gamer.
Dude, I have beaten that game like fucking 5 times now.
I know, I've only beaten it twice. I need to replay that because that's like one of the 3D Zelda games that like haven't replayed endlessly.
Well, and you have the Wii U
Besides,
version, so
I have the Wii. I have both the GameCube and the Wii version. Yeah.
So, have you beaten the HD version yet, Brian, or have you not played that like at all?
I have not played the HD version yet.
There you go.
Recently played, I think Wind Waker is the only, again, besides Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because fuck that shit, I'm not doing that.
Right.
The only 3D Zelda game that I haven't 100%ed is Wind Waker.
Right.
That's the only one I have 100%ed.
Wind Waker, I've never 100%ed that. I 100%ed Majora's Mask. That's it.
I like was about to 100% Wind Waker, and then I think it was like a summer break during college one year, and then I just went back to college and fucking forgot about it. So I did saving though. That's like 70% done.
I did Majora's Mask 100% the summer that my dad was busy getting remarried. So he was it was
busy getting remarried. You were getting some Zelda on.
Yeah,
Majora's
it was
Mask is like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It was a high school summer, and he was courting his second wife by taking her on a lot of vacations, if you will. And so I was home alone a lot, just watching our dogs, and I would like go take the dogs for a walk and then feed them dinner and then go into the basement and play Majora's Mask for like 5 hours. And so I 100% of Majora's. That is the only one other than the first Zelda that I have 100%ed. So yeah.
Yeah, it's I would say Majora's Mask is actually the one that I think is like you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't at least like do most of the stuff in that game.
You got to get all the masks. You got to get all the masks.
You got to get all the masks, but like even just like all the Bomber's Notebook stuff. Like even a lot of heart pieces and stuff. Like it's like that game I think it made much better when you do a lot of the side content.
Absolutely.
Whereas like a lot of the other ones, it's just like an extra special. It's like a little extra thing you can do.
And that's how Wind Waker is, where it's like, oh look, a little special little island. Let me go hit that switch, and then it's like, all right, I did a thing, but otherwise, I mean, the temples in Wind Waker are fucking awesome. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it legitimately is. It's my favorite Zelda. It's one of my top 5 favorite games. I do replay it like once every 2 years or so because of how much I enjoy it. I mean, it's not the first Zelda I played. I think the first one I played was Link to the Past. When I was like 4. I had the is it the GBA version of that?
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's the one with 4 swords. Yeah.
Yes, it had 4 Swords Adventures on it, and I played a lot of that one.
Adventures on the GameCube.
And
it's just 4 swords.
Yeah, that was fun and everything, but I think when Wind Waker hit, I don't know, like 5 or 6. That to me was like the first like really open world game I ever played, even though I know it's not super open world.
Yeah.
I think it was just I didn't realize that a game could be like that, and so still to this day, like the things people complain about, and it's 100% nostalgia goggles. Like, oh, the ocean's too big. There's a whole lot of nothing.
Like I said, man, just sip your coffee when you're doing that. Just sip your fucking coffee. Like
when I was, but like when you're 5, you're like, oh, the ocean's huge. Like, this is awesome. Like, there can be anything out here. And then you find, like...
the rupees in the ground and shit.
I think it's like, it's also a difference between, it's not just like age, it's also a difference between the eras that the games came out. Because, like, at that point, you know, like, a world that big in a video game is a huge deal. Nowadays, you get worlds like that all the time. And not only that, like, you get worlds that are a lot more dense, too. So it's, like, filled with shit to do. And I'm not saying, like, you know, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is better than fucking Wind Waker, which I don't... Wind Waker clears it out of the water.
Yeah.
Pun not intended. But,
out of the water?
There's objectively more shit to do in Odyssey. Like, it's just a...
But it goes back to our first point.
The eras.
Goes back to one of our earlier points in the podcast where it's like, you know, length is no determination of how good a game is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I have been very adamant about that, where more does not mean better.
Yeah,
like,
no, definitely not.
I mentioned it to you, Andrew. I think I mentioned it to you, Devin. Like Persona 5.
I knew it was coming up. The
Persona
moment
5.
you started talking. Yep.
Persona 5, love it. Persona 5 Royal.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So, like,
no, Wind Waker's great.
I don't think just adding more content inherently makes the game better. So
right. I agree. Well, and they actually shortened Wind Waker then for its HD remake. So, you know, again, the comment about length. So
cutting out the fucking
the Triforce quest. They cut the fat. You know, it's seriously. They cut the parts that were
shaking you down for all your worth.
Yeah, seriously. So it's great.
Like I know, like I said, people don't like the sailing in that, and it seems like Nintendo really didn't either, which is why they changed those things in the Wii U version. And you know, it's one of those things where I completely understand people not liking that, and now that it's not there, they're like, "Well, I'm going to play this version." But I don't think those things made the previous game bad. I know that sometimes when people comment about it, they're like, "Oh, the ocean's so long that I just stopped playing the game," or the Triforce Quest is so like awful and long that I didn't want to play it. And it's like, well, like for the original Triforce Quest, there's a lot of rubies, but you also have to go around most of them. And like I said earlier, the idea that it's you can find rupees. It's the first Zelda that's really that big. I know that like everyone's like, oh, there's like Hyrule. What the hell they call it? I'm like,
Field.
Like the plains and the
Hyrule Field.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's Hyrule Field and all that, and I'm like, this is different than that, though.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's not Hyrule Field. You can cross in 2 minutes.
The Great Sea takes like a half hour to sail across.
There's that trick, and I always do it. It's that speedrunning trick where as soon as you done
walk
talking
backwards.
to the fucking owl, you run backwards to the drawbridge. You can make it. It's and you cross
get
it in like 30
closing.
seconds.
Yeah, it's
the like entirety of the field.
Wind Waker.
I just don't see. Go ahead.
All right, so Wind Waker for me when I was a little kid, I came from like playing Mario Sunshine, and then we get Wind Waker one Christmas, and I could not get my brain around the fact that there is a 3D game where you can't jump on command. Because I was so used to Mario Sunshine.
Oh,
yeah. And I was like, why? How do I make him jump? Why does he just roll? But then
it's
you kind of jump
me
when you
as a kid
go
not
off a ledge.
understanding saves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So Wind Waker's phenomenal though.
You played Resident Evil going, why can't I just jump over zombie? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
right.
Why can't I jump on zombie and he die?
Yeah, I don't get it. Why can't I just take out Flood and blast the zombie in front
right.
of me? What's going on?
Boys, I'll tell you this. An hour goes by so fast when we're just all enjoying ourselves and shooting the shit. We do have some other topics. I want to make things not too much longer than an hour because I got some other things to do, but one of the other topics that we wrote down that we haven't talked about, though I do appreciate the very long Wind Waker discussion, is gaming conventions. So, Devin, me and you just attended the Game On Expo out here in Phoenix, Arizona. And that was my first time at a gaming convention because, I don't know. It's not something I've ever... I'm not too keen on that much social interaction, but man, I had a damn good time. It was a lot of fun. And I just want to talk about like nerds in the wild, because I don't know. I mean, you guys have you guys aren't in office as much as I am, but you know, you guys work jobs and stuff too. And it's like when you have, you know, your coworkers that are just so brutally normal and aren't like gamers, and then you're surrounded by, you know, like gamer overload at like a convention. It's quite the juxtaposition between your work week and your weekend, if you will. So, but Devin, I don't know.
The tech field, so like.
That is true. That's true. My job probably is.
It was more Star Wars stuff, honestly, like Star Wars, Star Trek.
And it's funny because a lot of my coworkers really love Star Wars too, even in my like very normal job.
It's one of those things where I agree because I work with a lot of nerdy people, and there's things they like where, you know, I know about them, but
yep.
You know, if I start talking about like, hey, this week I played a game called Another Crab's Treasure, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's, you know, it's an indie game that was decently popular from last year, but they don't care. You know, like That's not the new Skyrim. So to be in an environment where I can say those things and people know what I'm talking about, it's nice in a way because obviously all three of us are passionate about this hobby. We care about it. We care about different aspects of it, or different types of games, or, you know, different developers and things like that. You know, there's some things we agree on, and it's easy to talk about Nintendo forever just because I think everybody has some sort of personal nostalgic attachment to Nintendo.
Yeah.
But at this convention, you're there and you'll see things. You're like, oh my God, I know what that is. You know, and I'm like maybe one of 12 people in this entire building that know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and that happens if you want to talk about like some of the retro stuff.
Yeah, like the GameCube guy. Yeah. There was this one guy who was there who had like, I don't know how many thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and that is also another cool aspect of conventions versus like flea markets or stores. Games that are worth more than $5 are just like out. You know, like I just like pick up a copy of Mario Strikers and be like, yo, how much? And the guy's like, yeah, $70, you know, but it's like there's so much trust because everyone cares about the hobby, and you know, there's a lot more trust that people are going to be honest with when it comes to buying from vendors.
Plus, if you try to bolt with Super Mario Strikers, you're going to get a flaming soccer ball to the back of the head.
Absolutely. So there's a lot more of that. And it is fun to just, like, see rare games just, like, in a stack of stuff where you're just looking at a pile of games and it's like, Madden 07, Madden 06. Oh, Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance. Nice. You know, just, like, so very neat.
$300? Great.
Yeah. There was this vendor guy. I forget if he was actually selling or if he was just whatever. But anyway, he had, like, several $1,000s worth of very obscure Japanese GameCube variants on the table. One of them being this thing called the Panasonic Q, which is a Japanese GameCube that can play full-size DVDs, which is just, and it looks like this, you know, Frutiger Arrow, like cube of futuristic nonsense, and there is a Panasonic branded GameCube controller that is just stupid rare, and a Game Boy player for it. And the dude had that stuff, and just like talking to someone in depth about like Japanese GameCube variants out in the wild, and I'm like standing face to face with this person and not just reading a YouTube comment about it. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, and what's fun about that Panasonic one is, and this goes, I guess, sort of into like when we're talking about box art and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, my sister had a Panasonic CD player that looked almost like that damn GameCube.
I'm sure.
They did it in such a way where they were like, if we're going to make this into a GameCube, we want to model it as close to like a Panasonic player as we can. And they did. And I think that one, I agree, that was the most interesting to me too. I know they had like some other variants there too, but I was like, this is
but
like
the Q is crazy.
Yeah. Somebody had a vision for what they wanted, and they did it. You know, and Nintendo just let them do it. You know, that's rare. Like you have to be like a Shigeru Miyamoto or like a Masahiro Sakurai to be able to do stuff like that. Like you don't just get to do that at Nintendo. You know? Right. And I think that was awesome. That whatever reason during that GameCube era, they let them do it. They were like, make a Panasonic GameCube.
Yep, and you can brand a controller.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Not to be an old man yelling at a cloud, but it's back when shit had soul, man.
Yeah, no, it is, and I know it's, you know, it's kind of lame to be like, back in my day, things had soul, but like I mean, that is like an example of it for sure, you know?
Yeah, because now you just get like this like stupid ass, like the most unbothered design possible.
Yep, and I hate that. I hate the like minimalism stuff, and honestly, I know that there's like a lot of criticism about like Gen Z and like the love for things that are. I believe the aesthetic is called Fruitiger Arrow or something. You know, it's like that like Windows XP, Windows Vista look where everything had like big blue splashes of water and like fish, you know, and like utopian look, right? Well, and that a lot of that aesthetic is present on like the Wii and even the Wii U, and then like things like the Panasonic Q are like an embodiment of that aesthetic. And I don't know, I miss stuff like that because it felt more futuristic than just like iPhone 17 now more sleek than ever.
A white or black box.
Just
a square.
And it's just like and it just says phone on it, and it's like
and like the most generic sans text.
Yep. Ray done.
It's
I think what we're describing, like, we obviously have a focus on it in video games, right? I think this just happens for lots of hobbies or things that, you know, when we grew up, you know, video games were niche. Not like so niche that nobody knew what they were. You know, we're not talking about like those dudes who made like Pong, right? We're talking about or like a, you know, but it was still like this thing that, you know, like you didn't know. Every kid didn't know what a game was.
You didn't see a Mario T-shirt around every single corner in Walmart or Kohl's. You know, like how you do now.
And even because of that, I was going to just say that like they had to have some more creativity to really break into their markets, right? Like you had to do something, and so you got some really, really good ideas that like would flop, but they would still be great, and you kind of see them, you know, come back today, like just really obscure things. You'll be like, oh, like somebody tried to do this again and it worked. Or you'll see stuff where it's just like wild and it was incredibly successful, but it's like, how would have anybody thought to have done this? You know, like why would you do this thing? You know, in the modern video game market, there's only so many people trying to make consoles. There's only so many paths to success. There's a lot more like, if games are so expensive, if you fail, you can bankrupt a company with one bad game.
Not as much.
Like Ubisoft.
Risks. And it's but I also think it's just like outside of that, it's just like a general push towards, I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it, but like you can see in a lot of things, like architecture, you know, like styles and stuff.
Oh, it's just I could go on forever.
Like getting rid of color, making things duller, making things like more sterile.
The mass production, I mean, and Brian, you don't see it, well, kind of out where you live in Pennsylvania, there's a little more of the mass-produced suburbs, but in Arizona, it's insane. They just like nightmarish subdivisions that they create out here, and then the homes are like $600,000, and it is literally just like, I call them like stapled on like homes, you know, like they just staple them to the ground, and it's like across the street you'll see the exact same house, and it's just a slightly different color, and it's, you know, that's considered like variation, and it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, and this is why I'm big on historic preservation, and why it was my, you know, why it's been a big focus of my career and stuff. And you know, Pennsylvania, you got to honor there's a lot more architectural variety because there's just been a lot more eras of architecture in Pennsylvania than Arizona. So yeah, I could go on forever.
I guess to briefly tag on to that, because obviously Pennsylvania architecture is a lot older, but there is Levittown, you know, like I know that's a unique thing, but and not that there's a specific area where this is happening, but what you're describing in Arizona is like a softer version of Levittown.
Yes.
Like, okay, we're going to make these many houses in that. And the reason they did it in Levittown is like, okay, there's a bunch of people who are buying houses now. And it's similar in Arizona. You know, there's a lot of businesses, especially where I live, like lots of companies are coming in and just building these stupidly huge warehouses full of nothing. And
and they're like shell buildings, Yeah,
and so like all around me, there's constantly developments being built, and like you said, they're just They all look the same. Like all of my coworkers live in houses that are incredibly similar to each other.
Yes.
Like the insides are different depending on, your own personal style.
Depending on how many games you put on the shelf.
Correct. And the answer is not enough. Not enough. Like you're able to own a house.
This man's got Gears of War 1 and 2, but not 3.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you can afford the house, I have one dude, and I know this isn't video game related, but he has a life-size Stormtrooper that he has in his front room, and I'm like, that's a good idea. That's somebody who understands a reason to show something off. And
that's somebody who understands interior decor.
Right, who understands art. Art is
that is.
And, like, that kind of stuff's fun. Then you'll have lots of people where it's just this sterile, boring, just nothing. And I'm like, dude, the outside of your house is already nothing. And then you make the inside of it nothing, too.
You don't have a single copy of Mario Sunshine on the inside? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why isn't your ceiling full of posters for every single Luigi's Mansion release? There's 2 of them, but you know what? You can have at least 2 posters somewhere. Well, there's 3 games, but Luigi's Mansion was released for 3DS and the original GameCube, and that's it.
Right. So, yeah.
Devin only cares about Luigi's Mansion 1.
We could talk a lot about that.
And the funny thing is, too, Devin, real quick, before we get into Luigi's Mansion with Levittown, it's funny with a perception, and this is a question that I can't wait to see the answer to in 40 years. Levittown, once very criticized for being, a mass-produced suburb, this, that, or the other. Now that Levittown has surpassed the threshold of 50 years, which is like the benchmark for historic preservation, there are a lot of people out there that say that something like Levittown is deserving of a historic district designation and that Levittown is worth preserving. It makes me wonder if all these homes that we're seeing now go up that we are talking shit about are on the architectural side of things, if in 50 years I'm going to be working with some young fella who thinks that the homes that were built in the 2020s were really cool,
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
As we're all living in Nike shoe boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And eating pig slop constantly and scrolling through the same 3 apps in our pod homes. But anyway.
Yeah, but I think that it makes sense to preserve Levittown because it is a statement on how architecture was made at that point. And
it's very historic.
Even outside the U.S. copied it, right?
It's very significant.
It is significant. Yeah. It is significant.
So, and that's a big characteristic for a historic district is significance, Yeah.
Yeah, so I think even if it's like a street or 2, they have to have a few. I think they have to preserve at least a few of those homes to be like, this is, it's a marking of where people live, and what people do are the most, those things are important. Those things are things that actually affect people's lives in a lot more ways than you honestly think of.
Yep, absolutely.
But that's not about video games. None of this is about video games.
All right. Talk about Luigi's Mansion and then we're ending it. All right.
Okay, we can end there. We can not talk about it.
I want to talk about Astrobot. All right.
We can also talk about Astrobot.
All right. Here we go. So right now, guys, I have 1 hour and 8 minutes. We're going to go no longer than 1 hour and 20. So we have 12 minutes. 1 hour and
10. I was like, all right, Devin, go.
Yeah, speed run. No, 1 hour and 20. So we have about 12 minutes. So look, I've talked about my favorite games. We've talked about Wind Waker a lot. So it's all good. I will give you guys each 6 minutes of the floor to just talk about Ape Escape and Astrobot and whatever you want. So just take us home, boys.
Talk about Ape Escape.
We'll just talk about Astrobot because I'm playing that right now. So
take it home, boys. You guys own PS5s and I don't, so just take us home.
Yeah. We're trying to convince you to get it so you can play it.
Yeah, right. I just bought a Wii U, guys. I'm a little behind.
So
go ahead.
I just finished Astro's Playroom and I'm like part of the way through the actual Astrobot game, and it's weird because what the game is it's a celebration of Sony, right? It's a celebration of all the stuff Sony's done. Like how Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I know, very popular fighting game, whatever. It is a celebration of everything Nintendo's ever made.
Absolutely.
And Astrobot,
especially Melee was like that in its presentation,
I think one of the things I like about Astrobot is that Astrobot's a 3D platformer. And that is, when I think about Sony, like that is what really got them off the ground. Like I think about like Crash Bandicoot, like 3D environments.
Yeah.
Crash Spyro, like 3D environments are what separated Sony from everything else, and that's why they exist. I don't think fighting games are what separated Nintendo from everybody else, but I get why you would make a fighting game, like Smash Brothers, your celebration title. But Astro Bot is the celebration title that I think is a lot of fun to play. And I never feel gross or like upset about anything they try to show. I think that everything they show and talk about, and talking's not really, nobody talks. It's a robot that goes beep and boop. But
which is why you like it, first of all.
I actually do.
Yep, really of course you do.
Robot characters that don't say a lot. We don't have to talk about the RoboCop game I'm playing right now that I'm having a blast with. But
RoboCop on NES? You playing RoboCop on NES?
No, I'm not playing RoboCop on NES. Why did you ask?
He said he was having a lot of fun, Andrew.
Yeah, right. That game's terrible.
Unless I'm playing with you, there's only like a handful of NES games that I really would play on my own.
And RoboCop is not one of them.
RoboCop is definitely not one of them. But Astrobot is an incredibly enjoyable 3D platformer that isn't super challenging, but doesn't treat you like a baby. And it shows off all of Sony's products. I mean, all of them. This isn't a spoiler, but I finished the first world of the Astrobot game, and you know what it had as its bonus world?
Knack.
It was an Apes Escape level.
That's why I was like, I know Devin's going to be interested to talk about this.
Where's the Knack level? Is there a Knack level?
I haven't seen Knack yet. I'm kind of
Brian,
do you want me to tell you?
Is there a Knack level?
There is Knack.
There's not a Knack level, but he does show up.
Yeah, because I know Donkey. I think Donkey pointed that out, of course, because Knack.
Yeah.
And
it's like one of those things. Like Sly also shows up too.
Right.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
That's awesome. And they were like, yeah, this is everything we've made. They have even in the little trophies you get, they'll have what's that really popular game on the PSP that
Patapon? Loco Roco?
Yeah, they have Loco Roco, they have Patapon. They show, even if it's not physically a robot in the game, because all they do is they dress up the different robots as characters.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have a trophy thing where it's this is Robopon instead of Patapon because it's Astrobot.
Right.
It's Patapon. Or it's
and then you can and then you got the little gacha, little capsule thing where you use the in-game money to get a little accessory for them to use in the hub area.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always thought was cool. Astrobot's so good, dude. It's not only fun; it's incredibly endearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When I'm talking about it being a celebration, I'm saying that as it is endearing. It is endearing. It's not in your face. You're not thinking about it as this is just them patting themselves on the back for look at how special PlayStation 5 is or whatever.
Right.
No, it legitimately is a game where I go, nostalgia baiting and all. I think, especially for me, because I had a PlayStation 1, and that's the first console I really remember is my PlayStation 1. And it is that. They're this is what started us, and we're going to show off everything that we made that makes Sony Sony. And while I don't love Sony as a company, they're at least somewhat proud of it, and they kind of have a reason to be so. I mean, I love Resident Evil. They have that in there. They have all these series that exist because Sony exists. And they're yep, this is all these games that people love. This is us.
I had a big PlayStation phase, for sure.
They're even still adding in more stuff. I think they did they have a they added in a while ago. It was a time trial thing, which are some harder levels, which are actually pretty fun. And they also kind of more recently they did the past few weeks they were adding in a level every week, and each one would have a new bot and stuff. And it's some older stuff like Tekken, and then there's some newer stuff like Stellar Blade and stuff. So it's it's cool to still adding in, and I think is it Team Asobi? I think is the developers.
Astrobi,
I think they're just they're just they just seem incredibly this is our thing. This is, we put our heart into this. Even when they won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and they even mentioned they had a clear around it, but they mentioned how much Super Mario Sunshine inspired them. To make it, it's very clear controls that game. This is Super Mario Sunshine,
which is why you recommended it to me, because of course I said Mario Sunshine is my favorite game ever. So
it's very you're playing that game and you're it's Sunshine.
See, and that's the reason for it.
Yeah, it's more I would say the levels and all that is very more Galaxy, but like the whole like the double jump into the beam glide thing. That's Flood through and through.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's it's deserving of Game of the Year, and it's crazy that a Game of the Year game is a game that's all about remember this from Sony.
Yeah.
And it deserves it too. That's what I find so fascinating about it is that it deserves it, and it's also one of those games where you're like, why is this one winning? Why is this the one that's the best?
It's one that's like because I didn't play it before it won, and I was like, why did Astrobot win? Like, good for it, but I was like, Metaphor's in there and all that, and then I played it. I was like, oh yeah, no, this deserved it. It's one of those games. I mentioned this in my like every game I played in 2024 video, but it's one of those games where you're playing it and then you're like, why is it dark outside? Oh my god, how long have I been playing?
Yeah, facts. Oh damn, Devin, I think you're not the only person who likes Ape Escape. Those games are pretty pricey.
Yeah, they are. It's one of those things where at the time, it's a very unique game. I think that's why it has staying power, is that most games, I can't think of a game that's similar to how that game controls or what the game's about. I mean, you catch monkeys with a net. I can't think of many games that are fun where you try to catch things in a net, other than fishing. We can talk about fishing another time.
Oh, do you mean Clubhouse 51 fishing?
Yeah, I do.
The greatest video game ever.
Or the fishing mini game from
We Play.
I
was about to say, damn it.
Here comes a big one.
Yeah, that one too. But they haven't even gotten close to making a game from my understanding. If anybody is watching this and is like, I know this indie game that's like Ape Escape, I'll play it. I legitimately would love to find a game like it, but I've never found anything close.
Yeah.
And it's also this thing, to make this brief, Sony, when they introduced the DualShock, the actual joysticks, Ape Escape was the game to test that. The very first game where it's like, oh yeah.
Neat.
And that's where the catching mechanic came from. And then they made 2 games after that, and the second one is my favorite. If you look online, a lot of people really like the third one.
Which, the second one looked like it was the priciest, so...
Oh, okay. Well, I love the second one. I think the second one is...
I just did a quick eBay search to see how much they were running, because I know nothing about them.
It might just also be the second one didn't have as many prints or something, too.
Or some nonsense. I mean, there's multiple factors in a price. Yeah. I'll lot a lot of PS2 games.
Yeah. And real quick, I love when consoles do a gimmick, and then you'll see the first few games will just be so hard into that gimmick,
like the Wii U,
the 6-axis. The 6-axis.
Oh yes, and Little Big Planet.
For the first 5 years of the PS2, every game used the 6-axis for some reason.
Dude,
Infamous, you're you're playing the game normally, you got to use the 6-axis control to control the lightning, and it's why?
The fact that Little Big Planet, I mean, dog, a 2D platformer, and they're use the 6-axis.
Yeah.
All right.
The Sly 4 used the 6-axis.
I
know. Minute and a half on your rants. If you guys have any final points about Astrobot or Ape Escape or Luigi's Mansion.
Mega Man sucks.
Mega Man sucks.
Mega Man sucks.
It's all good, guys. YouTube's never pushing my Mega Man content anymore anyway, so we'll see.
Maybe you start talking about Ape Escape.
Maybe. Dude, bring that ish over and we can record me playing it for the first time, no cap.
I would have such a hard time not just being you just do this. You just do that.
Well, I mean, you can do that, but
me with you, Devin, playing Birth by Sleep.
Yeah,
I was rocking back and forth, press square, block, press square.
ADHD rocking back and forth.
It's so funny because I feel like if I watched any of you guys play a FromSoft game, that's exactly how I would feel.
Yeah,
I play FromSoft games all the time, man.
I know you do, but everybody kind of develops their own sort of way to play it. I know there's builds and stuff like that.
I'm a dodger. I rarely block.
I heavy.
Except Dark Souls 1.
I block, and like in other games, I do a lot more dodging, but in the main Dark Souls titles, I am the tank blocker.
Yeah.
I blow to blow. It's fun.
Yeah. I think that's why like Bloodborne I consider to be like the easiest Dark Souls game because I'm like that's like my play style. Sorry, go ahead.
And cut.
All right. You want to give an outro?
Sure. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the 10th episode of the Deserted Gamer podcast featuring our goon, this goon friend over here who you guys got to learn a lot about today. He likes his Ape Escape. He likes Astrobot. He just got a PS5. He's not buying a Switch 2. None of us are buying a Switch 2. And he sure does also like Luigi's Mansion. You guys know me. You guys know I like Mario Sunshine and Wind Waker. We all know Brian's big fan of that Trails of Cold Steel. So with that, everybody, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time.